I'm Jim May. In the first episode of this series, we talked about the people driving the anti public education movement and how they're motivated by the potential for political or financial gain. Now, we've reached a good point to talk about and define four other distinct groups playing a vital role in this fight. First, we have the true believers. These are people who oppose contemporary public education on ideological grounds. Some of them take the radical view that taxpayer money should never be used to provide a K 12 education to all children. But far more of them, they simply believe that public education should reflect and reinforce their own specific worldview. And typically, we see that related to advocating for the superiority of a specific race, ethnicity, culture, or religion. Next are the conspiracy theorists. They're prone to believe in impossibly massive cover ups perpetrated by the government. For them, a lack of evidence is just proof of how many people are in on some nefarious scheme. Now, when you see someone at a school board meeting parroting the ridiculous myth of kids using litter boxes in the back of classrooms, they're almost certainly either a true believer that's intentionally spreading misinformation or a conspiracy theorist who's actually bought into the nonsense they're repeating. The same can be said when you see a social media post about some isolated incident in a single classroom and then trying to use that as proof that millions of hardworking teachers are in on some scheme to indoctrinate our kids. If you see the term cultural Marxism in a letter to the editor in your local newspaper, chances are it was written by someone in one of these two groups. Now, to the anti public education movement, both true believers and conspiracy theorists are essential to pushing misinformation to a third group, disengaged citizens. Now, when I say disengaged, we're talking about people without kids currently in public schools. So, retirees, people that don't have children at all, and parents who have kids in private schools. Of those, retirees are the most important by far. To generalize a bit, they reliably show up to vote. The overwhelming majority of them have grandkids, so they do care about issues related to education, but also they're far enough removed from having their own kids in school that they're unfamiliar with a lot of the terminology and methods that have been implemented over the last 20 years. The flood of misinformation we've seen over the past several years, the efforts to redefine terms like equity and inclusion, the far and wide attacks on teachers and school administrators, all of those are aimed squarely at disengaged citizens. To those who are attacking our schools for political gain, disengaged citizens are the end goal. To those seeking to benefit financially, they're a crucial group to win over, because without them, the anti-public education movement wouldn't have a chance. There's also a fourth group with an important role in this fight: overwhelmed parents. We're the ones with kids currently in public schools. When we hear the attacks on our schools, we know they're absurd. But we're also pulling double duty, juggling careers with the full-time job that is raising a family. We often don't have the bandwidth to be politically active beyond showing up to cast a vote. It's a big ask to expect us to take a day off work so that we can show up at the State House, perhaps waiting for hours to speak to a legislator or a subcommittee, only to find that no one there is really interested in hearing what we have to say. But the attacks are escalating. Anti-public school legislation is getting passed. Extremist school board candidates are running and sometimes winning on blatant lies. Opportunists are targeting teachers who pour so much into helping our kids. And with all of that, more and more of us are realizing that we have to make the time to get involved. We have to speak out against the misinformation. We have to stand up for teachers. And if we do, we can make a difference. Thanks for watching.